Thank you guys so much for staying so late. It already feels late, even though it's only 2:00. Just a quick introduction. My name is Sarah Bronin. I'm a professor of law at UConn. I chair the City of Hartford's Energy Improvement District and Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'm actually going to turn it over to Shubhita Kambli to talk about a couple of things, and then I'll round up with talking about the city plan.
Wonderful. Shubhita Kambli, Sustainability Coordinator in Mayor Luke Bronin's Office of Sustainability. I should mention that in Hartford, and I believe you have my testimony with you, I would just like to highlight that in Hartford, we've taken steps to increase renewable energy capacity through the Energy Improvement District Board. We've improved energy efficiency in municipal facilities, and we've helped protect the homes of our residents from enormously high energy burdens through the Energy Equity Challenge. So through the challenge, we're partnering with the Connecticut Green Bank, with utilities, with local nonprofits as well, to implement and promote a series of programs that will allow residents, property owners, and renters to measure and reduce their energy use. And I should say that although we're starting with voluntary programs, there is a limit to what we can do without energy efficiency standards. So that's why we're here today.
Yes, so members of the committee, we're here in support of HB 5008, which would enable, as you know, cities and towns across the state to adopt higher building standards. And when Shubhita refers to the high energy burdens on our residents, she's talking about 50% of our low-income population, households at 50% of the federal poverty line are spending 33% of their income on energy bills. So we're talking about a really high, disproportionately high cost on our residents. From the city's planning and zoning side, we're just now adopting a city plan. And what we've heard from our residents, and again, one of the most low-income cities in the state, is that they really want to see less drafty buildings. They want to see their energy costs go down. And so we've kind of distilled that into a goal in our plan, being the adoption of new building codes and new energy efficient building codes. So when this bill came up, we both jumped at the chance to be able to come here and say that Hartford supports this bill. I think you'll hear today, and you probably already got testimony from affordable housing advocates and home builders and others who are saying that this bill has the possibility of raising prices. I think, some of those arguments are speculative. It could be that we're actually creating a market that would reduce the cost of energy efficiency measures that could be incorporated into housing. I think you'll also hear from the Department of Housing testifying that many of their buildings are already required to achieve high energy efficiency standards. So again, from our perspective, from the perspective of a city with many low-income residents with high energy burdens, we see the adoption of the option and hopefully adoption of stretch energy codes like you have in New York and Massachusetts as being really critically important for us to achieve the goals that we have in our city plan, the goals of the Energy Improvement District that Shubhita discussed, and really the overall well-being of our residents. So we're going to leave it at that, and if you have questions, we're happy to take them.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Shubhita. City of Hartford has definitely been a leader on a lot of these issues, so it's important for you guys to come in and offer your testimony on especially 5008, and looking forward to kind of working with you on this concept going forward. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Representative Steinberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here and for all the work you do for the city of Hartford. And I view Hartford as a potentially ideal model for putting in place some of these energy efficiency goals that you've been talking about. As chair of the Public Health Committee, I'm also concerned about health impacts on some of the issues we have with our aged housing stock and how that all sorts of ties together. One of the things I'm very much aware of is that even though we have a variety of incentive programs to achieve energy efficiency, they tend to be in fairly narrow silos without a lot of interconnectedness, which inherently may be inefficient. Do you see, or perhaps Hartford already has models whereby we can sort of create a glue between existing energy efficiency programs so that they're more personalized or tailored to the circumstances, particularly of renters and dealing with landlords?
Representative Steinberg, that's a great question. So through our Energy Equity Challenge, we've tried to bring those resources and those partners together to be able to communicate a logical engagement, a flow of engagement for our residents to participate in these programs. So we're working with the utilities through Energize CT. We're also working with the Connecticut Green Bank on Solar for All. And the hope is that we start to integrate some of these programs in a way that creates those efficiencies that you mentioned.
So would you favor a state program that might offer some additional funding to achieve some of those efficiencies in terms of putting together programs to meet needs that are very evident in your community?
We would, yes, and especially I think the outreach and communications component of these programs, just raising awareness and the fact that these programs exist is important. Not all of our residents know, so we find that it's a challenge to just get the word out.
We also see this as a need, actually, particularly in the 2 to 4 family building stock. So there are a lot of programs that standalone housing, one unit dwellings, we call them in Hartford. They benefit from these programs, but the 2, 3, 4 families that predominate our building stock actually don't have great access to retrofits and funding and small grants. So that's another thing actually that's in our city plan.
We should all take a look at that. I agree that we may have made a good start on energy efficiency when it comes to a lot of middle class or more affluent homes, but we still have a long ways to go with inner city communities, particularly for renters. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I would agree with that sentiment representing one of those cities. And have you, in all your workings in Hartford, are you working with the GC3 Equity Working Group at all?
We are, and we did participate in last week's meeting.
That's great. All right, any other questions? Seeing none,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.